The Empty-Headed Podcast. The Empty-Headed Podcast.
We on today? Fantastic.
Fantastic.
Cheers.
Yorkies have become podcast.
Biscuit and raisin.
Fruit gums today. The biscuit and raisin one was for the women.
Was it?
It's not for girls. And then we released that
2020. You can't be saying that anymore. It's
one.
it's
LGBT
an inclusive.
friendly. Is Yorkie.
It's an inclusive chocolate bar. That's for sure.
And we're an inclusive podcast.
We are. So yeah, welcome.
Welcome all.
Welcome. Shall we crack on with some weird news,
Kick
mate?
us off, Mars.
Cool.
You ought to think twice before getting the builders in. Strange, but true.
You've just... This is the first time that Weird News will have had the intro banner, like the bedtime story that we made.
Yep.
What have I been found guilty of? If you go back
on
YouTube and look at the video, the Weird News intro, it says at the bottom a few of the previous stories we've talked about, but it says at the end, Dave Judas found guilty. What have I been found guilty for?
I can't say it on this broadcast, or you'd be
Dave Judas.
banged to rights.
Dave Judas is
What isn't that Dave Judas? You know, hasn't been.
He'd never be found guilty of anything. He's just got an opinion that it's just fun.
Dave Judas.
It's TikTok fun.
TikTok.
Sorry,
I've seen some.
you've got an interesting picture on there.
I have, yeah. I'll put it up. So this first bit of weird news is
Looks like that professor guy.
it's not. So this is never used Postman Pat love doll goes on sale, and it's not actually Postman Pat.
Never used.
It's Ted from Postman Pat, which is the farmer, I believe.
Ted from Postman Pat.
Yeah. So this is a person from Liverpool. He's selling a love doll of Ted from Postman Pat. They listed it on Facebook and they explained, I ordered this by mistake. It was meant to be Postman Pat, but they sent me Ted.
You wanted Pat.
The character, he's a Yorkshire-born handyman. Sorry, not a farmer. I don't know me. Postman.
This
Pat,
is a guy
obviously.
who ordered this love doll.
Yes. I think.
so
I don't know.
right
It
there.
doesn't
He bought it for his
actually
wife.
state. It doesn't state. It says a person, so it could be anyone.
Saving their identity.
£250, but it doesn't look. To me, it doesn't look worth £250. Not that I'd. Do you know what I mean? Not that I'd buy it.
It's
but
not your highbrow
it
kind of sex
looks
doll.
like something you'd stick on a bonfire, and it's described as brand new and never used. So I mean,
Just saying that to sell it, isn't it?
what?
Sell it for a
I mean,
high
I don't
profit.
know. Is it one of these love dolls and they've just put Ted's head on the top of it, or what do you reckon?
It looks more like a puppet, to be honest.
It
than,
does.
like a Rosie and Jim kind of thing.
His face looks like he's already been. It says it's not used, but his face looks like it's been used.
What's he making his face?
Well, he's just got a very startled look on his face. Anyway, that's my first bit of weird news. So, whether or not it's still for sale, I don't know.
Was it on
Devs,
eBay? Was he
You
selling it?
probably bought it.
No.
No, it was on the Book of Facebook.
Facebook for sale. I was going to talk about this one a little bit further down the line, but seeing as you've mentioned sex dolls, might as well
Straight in there,
keep on
mate.
that theme.
No messing.
This is from the Mirror. Japanese firm holds bizarre funerals for sex dolls with a porn star officiating. For up to £630, men can now say a formal goodbye to their sex dolls with one of 3 plans from Japan's Human Love Doll Company, which they're then given a piece of the life-size figure as a keepsake.
Why are they burying them to start with? What's happened?
If I owned a sex doll, there'd be no trail for anyone I know to find out that I owned one.
Have there been,
And then when I wanted to get rid of it, I certainly wouldn't publicly go somewhere and want
It
them
depends,
to see
I mean-
me burying it. I would discreetly leave it by a skip or something.
People think it's just a body, though, wouldn't it?
Well, it's funny you say that, which I'll get to that in a minute. I actually do think that why suddenly these dolls, which have probably been a big part of someone's life, why have they suddenly become unwanted, worn out,
Might have been a
Just
car crash.
see a new model and fancied that instead, who knows. So we went from marrying Boeing 747s and dry hump in the Eiffel
Yeah.
Tower last week, onto people now wanting to bury their sex dolls. Yeah, these services are officiated by porn star Ray Kato, who's female.
Right,
I'm
okay.
guessing because
Yep.
it's a female
Yep.
service. Before the life-size dolls are destroyed in a machine and disposed of.
Jesus, it sounds pretty brutal, really.
does.
What sort of machine?
Well, it says here they can be shredded.
Oof.
The dearly departed to be shredded can be.
I suppose it's better than cremation because of the
Toxins.
fumes they give off.
Yeah.
Yeah, climate change and all that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, that's the most expensive plan, which allows them to watch as the doll is taken apart piece by piece. It sounds horrific. That
It does.
if
Doesn't
you've
it?
got
I mean, someone's so attached to it,
a sexual
you know what I mean?
attachment, a deep bond with this
Yeah,
doll,
yeah,
and you
yeah.
want it to be ripped apart piece
It's
by
like-
piece, that's torturing yourself.
It is. It is. It's not. Well, it's not.
Unless
like,
it was an abusive relationship and you.
what the doll was abusive. If it's like a robot and it's gone Terminator, on you.
sentient.
Yeah. Yeah. What is going on in Japan? I think relationships in Japan are on the decline because of technology and the
They'd
the
rather
kind
make
of having,
love to a robot.
they're kind of having relationships with these like games on the Nintendos and stuff like that.
It's like these people who play World of
Whatever you're
Warcraft,
into.
and then they get chatting to somebody they've grouped with,
Yeah,
and then they
yeah.
like fall in love with each other.
No,
Their
but I mean
characters.
that's probably a bit more realistic than. Do you know what I mean? Like that's like someone meeting on a chat
But
room
like
or
being,
online dating, isn't it?
in game,
Oh, like
so their
role
characters
playing, role playing
fall
is
in
like,
love and marry each other
yeah,
and stuff.
yeah,
It's-
like a dwarf marries
an elf.
an elf or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could happen. Yeah,
I mean, people get into their role playing games.
yeah. And I'm not judging anyone on that, but that to me is a lot less strange than what you're
a doll.
a doll. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I just think it's a bit brutal. I mean, is the family attending this funeral?
just
or
the
is it-
guy, the owner. Like you were
Sorry.
saying, who would want this? There was a demand for this. They did an online survey that found out that men who were replacing or getting rid of broken or used dolls wanted a formal goodbye because they considered it to be such a personal loss. But then again, going back to seeing it being dismantled piece by piece is brutal. But the reason they did that is because there have been cases apparently where the dolls have ended up in normal rubbish, and it's made people panic
okay, yeah,
thinking
yeah.
that it was a murder victim.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I'd
So
love
there's
to see one of these funerals. Oh, yeah.
it'd be fun. The most basic package is a joint funeral where the service is for a number of dolls.
Oh my god. A mass grave.
That's for not your own
Right.
collection,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
like more than you. So if like me and you had a doll, and
I wouldn't be
somebody
sharing
else,
it.
you know, it's a where multiple people can get rid of their dolls. That's
Yeah,
a cheap
yeah.
package. And then if you go up to £350, the doll's given its own funeral. And then £630, the most expensive package, is called the Doll Angel Funeral Pan.
Well, how much does one of these dolls cost? You probably spent more on its funeral than I don't know.
Maybe. And this one allows the owner to accompany the figure to a processing facility after the service when it's dismantled in front of them and spared from the machine that would destroy it. And then it's dismantled, a portrait of the fake human is taken, and a worker can read a letter addressed to the doll.
Oh my god.
Um,
Anyway, some sad news now. Moment of silence. The world's shortest man has died in Nepal at the age of 27. So the world's shortest man, who was capable of walking, so there is a stipulation there, verified by the Guinness World Records, died at a hospital in Nepal. Going to try and pronounce this correctly. Apologised on the last podcast because I'm terrible at reading in general. So, Kagendra Tapa Magar, who measured 2 feet, 2.41 inches, so just over a couple of foot. If you imagine a couple of Subway sandwiches,
A third of me.
a couple of Subway sandwiches,
Yeah, but a foot long's not technically a foot long.
is it not?
No.
Right.
Did I just say foot long then? I meant foot long.
On
Yeah.
your mind? Yeah, what's on your mind?
It's Valentine's Day around the corner.
Yeah, so he died of pneumonia, which is sad.
Fluid on the lungs.
And yeah, from He's been out in and out of hospital, it's saying, but this time his heart was also affected. So yeah, very sad news.
Someone that short, you're gonna have a lot of problems, aren't you? 27 years is a good innings for that, but how many years of that was he actually? Did he feel good? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can imagine it being quite.
Rest in peace, Kagendra. A little picture up of it. A little picture. We'll put a picture up.
Here's one which, if you go to work on a train, or if you've just been on a train recently, you might have read this one in the metro. The driver dialed 911, so across the pond, with her toes after her hands were crushed changing a tyre. 54-year-old unnamed woman tried to raise the car up with the jack, and once she'd removed the spare tyre from her boot, and began to change it, the car slipped, the jack slipped, and the car fell, crushing her hands between the fender and the tyre. Means nothing to me. I'm not into cars, don't drive. Fender. So yeah, she was stuck like that for approximately 35 minutes until she was able to take her shoes off and access her phone with her feet to dial 911. So that's why this is some weird news. That's
my phone
good going.
Password thing. I can open it with my thumbprint.
Not your toe print.
But no. Just my thumbprint, but I couldn't do. It's also got where you make the pattern with the lines and the
dots.
dots.
Does it have to be the same thumb? You can't use both.
No, it's got to be that thumb. So if I lose that hand, I'm screwed. I can't get in my phone. Well, I could with the pattern thing, but I could not.
Very
do that
good,
with
is it?
my toes.
Not very good design, is it? Phone companies. Why don't you?
Well, no, but you can.
Both
you
thumbs
can,
on.
You
so
can.
You can,
you can do that. I've just not set it like that, and you can do facial.
You're restricting your options.
I am, but I'm hoping I don't lose my hands. So.
Could lose your thumb.
Could do. I hope that doesn't happen. Yeah, so very strange, yeah.
Apparently, there's no updates on the condition. She suffered both damage to both hands and all of her fingers, which is not surprising. But it doesn't say if she's lost her hands or anything like that.
You'd think so. It's probably crush her hands.
35 minutes, that's a long time.
Yeah.
I wonder how long she was there before she decided to attempt to take her shoes off. Where was her phone? How'd she get a phone out of her pocket?
Her other hand?
Both hands.
Oh,
both hands are crushed, yeah.
I don't know, yeah. Maybe it was just next to her on the ground or something.
Maybe.
You don't know.
She might have, rung up.
Yeah.
And been like, how do you change your tyre?
Surely someone had hit... Where was she? In the middle of nowhere? You'd be screaming.
It was dark, apparently. So there was nobody, really saw it.
Shouldn't be changing your tyre in the dark. Lesson there.
I didn't want to make that sound as if, that was a dig at women.
What's
she doing changing the tyre?
I'm just saying anyone.
I know a few women who can do that.
I probably would struggle changing a tyre. I'm not having a go at women. I'm just saying. Don't do it in the dark.
Two-man job, just in case.
Two people job. Person job. Yeah. Here's one for you. New Zealand teacher punches student for teasing. I'll start that again. New Zealand teacher punches student for teasing his quote unquote paedophile mustache. So the
teacher laughed at the student's paedophile mustache.
No, the teacher punched the student for calling
because the student
teacher.
said,
Yeah. So
sir, your moustache is pedo.
Well, it's in New Zealand, so...
Your moustache is like a pedo.
The teacher allegedly asked a 13-year-old if he wanted a smack in the face, to which the student replied, yes, right here.
No respect now, no respect.
So the student said he had a moustache like a paedophile would have. The unnamed teacher was playing touch football for the college social team at the time of the incident. Which
depends what age they are touch. They don't do tackles, do they?
No.
They're trying to get heading a football banned for under 16s.
Heading in football banned? What? Because it can cause concussion and...
So what they've said, there's a lot of research been done that it heightens your chances of brain damage and stuff, which football's
it's contact sport, isn't it?
The footballs are well soft nowadays. They're not big leather things like these.
It's all how you head it as well. Like, if you just let it hit your head, it's gonna
I
hurt.
can just imagine a lot of
Not that I'm
you
an
know,
expert, but
dads that bark orders on the
Yeah.
touchline, not
Yeah.
thinking that's really bad. But yeah, sorry to interrupt.
No, don't worry. So yeah, I mean that's pretty much.
If you're
what
going
the
to grow a
story is.
moustache in this day and age, though, you are going to get questioned about that because people do find moustaches
Well,
funny.
no, I
don't
mean you do Movember, don't you? Not everyone that does
if
that.
next podcast, if I
Yeah.
shaved this off and just had this, how
Yeah.
you'd think I would be? For anymore.
This is the last bit of news, I think, from myself. A man comes down from a pole after 78 days in a barrel. So this was a South African man who broke his own Guinness World Record for staying in a barrel atop of a pole after 78 days. So Vernon Kruger descended from the 82-foot pole in Dullstrom after spending 78 days, 23 hours and 14 minutes in the 132-gallon barrel. He was airlifted from his perch via helicopter.
How was he tossing his feces out,
I
or was
think
there a hole that he just shut down?
Well,
that fell
I
down
did
the
see
pole?
this. Yeah, he had like a pulley system that he put a bag on, and I think he'd send his bags of waste down to.
Who's going to clean that? You sit up there on your Todd doing your world record, and I'll clean your shit out for you.
Yeah. But
Wow.
I mean, what's he doing? Is he just like wanting to get away from his wife? I mean, what's he doing? Like 78 days just in a barrel, just chilling.
He probably
you
thought,
know,
what world records could I
Yeah,
do?
yeah.
And then thought, oh, that sounds like an easy
He didn't say whether he had anything else in there with him.
There must have been no heavy wind, storm, whatever she's called, raging now. He wouldn't have
No,
lasted
no.
an hour.
It'd have been over, wouldn't
It's
it?
been over.
Yeah, so what a strange thing to do, but he's beaten his previous record of 67 days.
You see, he wasn't even challenging anyone. He was doing it against himself.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
why bother?
Like I say, just a bit of peace and quiet. Yeah.
Every year, once a year, he just goes up into his barrel.
Good on him.
Well done. World record holder.
World record. Yeah, that's it from me, mate.
You ought to think twice before getting the builders in. Strange, but true.
Would you rather be? We haven't got a little segment for that yet, have we?
No, I need to make one.
We need a few wigs and just change.
Yeah. Would you rather? Do you want to go first?
Yeah. Here's a good one for you.
Oh, would you rather be? Oh, would you rather be? Oh, would you rather
Would you rather the aliens that make first contact be robotic or organic?
Is that how they speak?
Shakira speaks
Shakira.
like that. Would you rather the aliens that make first contact be robotic or organic? Which would be less likely to wipe us off the face of the planet?
Well,
That's a sub question.
Very nice. I think you'll find that if there is the way we're going as a species, and we're already sending. I don't know why I'm going into Brian Cox mode here.
Because you love talking about it.
Yeah. The way we're going is we're sending probes, aren't we, to like Mars and the rovers and stuff like that. So I think if we come across an alien species, it's going to be robotic. Because I don't think something organic isn't capable of travelling those distances and so quickly.
Unless they have technology.
Unless they have the technology to somehow protect themselves as they're travelling at them speeds and distances.
So you think it's more likely that an organic species has built robotic
yes,
technology
Yeah.
to then use their space travelling technology to send them out first?
Yes. I think if we come across anything, it's going to be mechanical.
That'd be scary though, because if
Yeah, I mean-
mechanical robots came, not Cybermen,
Yeah.
Doctor Who, I don't know.
Well, they are robots, aren't they?
But if robots landed
Yep.
here, the first
It's
thing you
like-
think is like, well, who made these? So you're going to get more questions, I think,
Yeah.
if it's robotic.
This is what they should be doing with them sex dolls. They shouldn't be burying them. They should be sending
Them up.
Elon Musk should be putting them in his ships.
Well, hang on, and then the aliens find them and then do their
but he's
alien
not
business
sending
on
a little
them.
monkey, isn't it?
So that's
You know
saying,
what I mean?
here,
It's
here,
like-
welcome, here's a gift to
Yeah,
you, do as you will with these robots. That's a bit... We're giving the robots reasons to rise up against us now.
What, by firing them off
We
into
discarded
space?
our disused sex robots to let the aliens probe away at.
Better probe them than the probe us.
I think both would be interesting. Cool to know there's other organic life
I mean, I think there is.
that is capable of doing that.
Yeah, but I think we're not. We're not built for it. Have you ever seen that picture of that? It's like some scientists made like what a human would look like that is capable of surviving if they evolved to be capable of surviving a car crash. And it looks
Rubbery necks and.
no. It's grotesque. Like its rib cage.
Why
is
would
like
we
massive and stuff.
evolve to avoid car
Well, I know,
crashes?
yeah, but it was some speed awareness thing that they put together, and it's like we're not built for surviving stuff like that. So,
Don't drive like a dick.
well, exactly. That's that's a message. But so yeah, I don't think. Yeah, what I'm saying. I mean, what
That's
was the
wrong.
actual-
That's not saying anyone who has a car crash is driving like a dick, because it could have been an accident
It could have
caused by
been.
somebody
It could
else
have been.
driving like a dick.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
don't
yeah.
Just to clarify.
Just to clarify, yeah, don't want Dave Judas getting into trouble again. What was the actual question? Sorry, mate, because I've got.
would you
on there.
would you rather the aliens that make first contact be robotic or organic?
Would I rather? It don't. It's not really up to me, is it?
Well, which would you rather see?
Well,
Aliens or robots?
I'd probably rather see an organic one, but
yeah,
I don't
because
think
we
it's-
could do the robots.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. But that's what I think.
Who knows?
Yeah,
And which would be less likely to wipe us off the planet?
probably organic one. Well, it depends what the technology is.
District 9 ones.
Yeah.
They just came here.
Yeah. I think mechanical ones are probably.
It depends what the mechanical ones were programmed to do. Like, what would their goal
Yeah,
be?
yeah.
They wouldn't need to learn anything from us, probably. We're here to save the planet. Let's eradicate everything from it.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't-
organics are probably...
Organic. Let's keep it organic. People
Organic.
like it organic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there you go.
Yeah, nice. I like it, mate. Sorry if I went off on
I thought you would.
Space
That's why I
stuff
did it.
again, wasn't
Spacey. That's
Yeah.
why I picked that one.
Kevin Spacey. So this one we put on the gram, Dave, and we only had a few responses.
The gram.
Would you rather be reincarnated as a swinging door or a revolving door?
Neither. Just let me rest in peace, please.
You're going to get less abuse as a revolving door, I think.
Swinging door could be in a bar,
It could.
a club.
Yeah.
That's got really nice decor.
Right, okay, yeah. You're thinking about what you're going to witness as a door. Is that what you're going to
be?
Yeah. But you get that
pushing
with
me
a
open,
revolving
do you know
door.
what I mean?
You get that with a revolving door, and people might get stuck in there.
Well, that's what I said to you. It'd be more fun to be a revolving door because you could
It would.
cause more. But then again,
Yeah,
why would a door be sentient and be aware of what was going on?
It's a question, mate. It's not it's not based in
hypothetical.
reality. It's hypothetical. That's the word I was after.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I initially said that because it'd be more fun, but now I'm thinking about it, a swing door like that
Yeah.
in a bar. Pervert.
So yeah, I mean, swing.
I
You're
only say
also
these things
likely
to get a giggle. That's it.
You're
I
also
don't mean these
you're
things.
also likely to witness more violence as well. That's an issue.
You could be in a chippy.
You could
One
be.
of them.
Yeah. What? Just the door to the fish and chips.
You know, where they lift the thing up to go, kind of like a bar, where they go behind the counter.
Oh right, sorry, I thought you meant the actual, like.
A swing door in a swimming baths.
Yeah, you see. It's a stupid question. And I know I said I've put this on Instagram, but I don't actually have the data.
Which would you rather be?
I'd probably say revolving. You're gonna, it's just you're gonna be less. There's a bit more to you, isn't there? You know what I mean? Like
You're a bigger unit.
you're not gonna get slammed against the wall. Yeah, that's my only argument for it. Like I say, I don't know what people on Instagram said because I've deleted it.
It doesn't stay on. I
It
think
doesn't
once the
stay on
story
long enough,
goes, that's
yeah,
it.
Yeah,
Which is a bit poor Instagram. Come on.
go for it, mate.
Would you rather know the history of every object you touched or be able to talk to animals? Two very different ones here. Knowing the history of every object you touch could be a bit shocking.
Yes, like even like opening the door, it's like what's he called?
It'd have to be the last person though, because otherwise you could get flooded with.
Well, this is
Loads
it.
of
Yeah, but how many
information.
people have walked through a door? You know,
Yeah.
especially if it's like
A revolving
Peter
door.
Sutcliffe's been through that door. You're gonna be messed up from that thought, aren't you? Well, it's not deep, is it? I'm just saying, like anyone could have walked through a door. You know, and
Talk to animals, and
Yeah.
it's got to be on it.
yeah, talk to animals.
Talk to animals,
Right,
yeah.
okay.
Dr. Doolittle.
Yeah, yeah.
Out now in
Yeah,
cinemas.
because everything you touch, the history, yeah, you'd just be bombarded with thoughts.
Information overload.
Yeah.
It'd be quite handy if you were a private detective.
It would. But I mean,
Crime scene, you'd
you-
work out who did it.
Yeah. You probably just get used to not touching stuff to avoid that. You know, what I mean?
What if
Only
you touched yourself?
There's some dark thoughts. Yeah. Oh dear.
Ah, dear.
What is wrong with us? Storm
Stormy.
Sierra still
Kicking off.
kicking off. Would you rather be a wealthy person in medieval times or a lower middle class person in today's society?
Quite cool being the king in a castle with the knights there
I wouldn't say.
going off into the forest to hunt a boar that you're going to then eat.
The
on a
problem
big
is, though,
banquet.
even if you're wealthy, it's medieval times, so there's a lot of death
Syphilis.
and disease and a lot of syphilis, apparently. I don't know.
Plague.
The plague, yeah. So you've got to weigh up your options. Whereas today, as someone,
Are you a-
lower middle class today, you've still got access to vaccinations.
Are you a
and stuff
mum?
like
Are
that.
you someone from history though, or are you just a completely new person in medieval
Well, you're a
times?
wealthy person. It doesn't say who you are, but I'd imagine you could be like some sort of bishop or
I'd
something.
be hosting games all the time, jousts and stuff.
Yeah,
Be well cool.
yeah. A
Robin
joust host, yeah. So you'd rather be a joust host than
I'd probably get maced to death.
for fixing. Dave Judas has fixed
Just for
a
being-
joust. Yeah,
Just for being loyal to some king.
mate. The medieval times scares me. Like
all
if
the
I'm going to
torture
go back in
devices,
time,
isn't
yeah,
it?
exactly, yeah.
It's an interesting
Yeah.
point of history though.
It is, but I think it's one of them things. We
I'd
take
have
it for
been burnt
granted.
at the stake for
We
being a
take it
witch.
for granted, don't we? Like, especially in the UK, like our system and stuff like that. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot that can be improved, but compared to other countries, we've got it fairly good. So
We don't need the monarchy anymore, though, do we?
well, I mean, that's a
I mean,
controversial opinion.
they're letting
It's controversial.
film star and Harry bugger off and do whatever they want.
Well, yeah, but I won't blame them after what Andrew's been up to. So
Boring being a royal.
I don't know.
Go here, do this, shake hands with all these people. Fucking, I want to do what I want, man. Come on. Good on you, Harry.
Good on, yeah, good on you, Harry.
It's Mrs., isn't it, really, who's telling him what to do.
Next one, mate. Go for
Is
it.
it me?
Yeah.
What would you rather be?
I'd
You'd
rather
rather
just
be now?
be today's society. Yeah, I think it's a lot safer.
You'd rather be Dave Judas?
Yep.
This is a fun one. Would you rather have skin that changes colour based on your emotions, or tattoos appear all over your body depicting what you did yesterday? That would be quite fun to see.
Well, if the tattoos are all over your body, and you're wearing clothes,
yeah, nobody would see them other than yourself.
Yeah. Because I mean, if say you, I don't know, you go red because you're angry, people are gonna know, aren't they? Whereas I think with tattoos, it's like if I went to Tesco, I'm not gonna get a tattoo of being in Tesco.
It would be
so anyway,
handy
so-
if someone was sick they physically went green.
yeah,
So then
yeah.
people would know who had
People-
coronavirus and stuff.
Kind of
Then it'd be
happens already.
It'd be
though,
one.
doesn't it? Like,
It'd be one
people
colour
go-
for all illnesses though, so you wouldn't know what they
Well,
had.
this is it. People do go like a bit. They look a bit
Herpes.
peaky, don't they? Yeah. What's the colour for herpes?
Green, it's same
Right.
for everything.
Okay, right. Yeah. Yeah, I'd say the tattoo thing, mate. You can hide them.
It'd be cool.
Like the Yakuza, you just wear a suit, no one knows you've
Like the
got
girl with the
tattoos.
dragon tattoo.
Yeah, yeah.
And Blindside, is it? With the tattoos all over.
Don't know. Not seen that. Seen Ironside. Remember that?
Ironside.
Yeah.
Is that the guy in the wheelchair?
Yeah. Just got side in the title.
I was more of a diagnosis murder
Right,
kind of
okay.
person.
Right.
Bit of Dick Van Dyke.
I beg your pardon. Yeah, so yeah, I'd go with whatever the thing was.
Tattoos.
Tattoos,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, be interested to see.
Yeah.
Be a visual way of knowing
Oh,
what
look,
someone's
you
done.
went to Flamingo Land yesterday. Yeah, nice one. Yeah.
Be good.
Then they go the next day, and you get. So
More
the only thing
activities.
is, if you do a crime, potentially it could be tattooed on your forehead.
Make sure you
Yeah,
spend 24 hours doing nothing
just
but
hide
nice
it.
things.
Yeah, yeah. I suppose it'd make you live a fruitful life, wouldn't it? Not saying that I don't already, but you wouldn't do any crime in because you'd be scared
Maybe.
you're gonna get
Some sadistic
I'm not
people
saying you
might
did- I do,
like
but-
seeing heinous things they've done on their bodies.
heinous.
Heinous.
So
That's
this
my final one.
is
I'm-
it. I've got a
I'm
couple
done.
more, mate.
Gonna have a fruit gum
Very nice.
today.
A couple that I popped on the gram, which I've actually got the results for.
The gram.
The gram.
So
So
there are fruit gums out.
they are, yeah. Take a bit of chewing. This one was: would you rather go to jail for 2 years? Just do 2 years' time in jail. Don't specify which jail, but I'm going to say Belmarsh. Or go to jail until you solve a Rubik's cube. That's mixed up when you go in.
I was at my sister's
Mm.
when I saw this that you put up, and I discussed it with my nephew, and
Right.
It'd do your head in.
Yeah.
Rubik's cube, having like 2 sections to do, and knowing that you're gonna have to sit all, but you'd get in a routine doing that for 12 hours, maybe a lot more a day. I'd like to think you'd start to pick up
Do you think you figure it out?
patterns.
Yeah. But you see some people completing them in like seconds, don't you?
Yeah.
But I think you've got to know a certain...
well, yeah, it's either a certain way
Yeah.
or they just know where the colours are.
Yeah.
Why it
Yeah.
crazy?
Yeah.
These people who just go
Yeah.
one-handed.
Yeah.
You'd surely be able to work it out way
Yeah.
before 2
Yeah.
years.
You don't-
Surely.
Yeah.
Surely. Maybe we should do this as a challenge. Hashtag the Rubik's Cube
What,
challenge.
like, and see who can solve it
And let's
first?
just see.
Yeah, right.
Spend an
okay.
hour a day.
I'm
doing
not spending an hour on it.
Well, 30
15
minutes a day.
something like that.
30 minutes a night.
Yeah.
And see how long
right,
it takes
okay,
to complete it.
Yeah, I think from what we got, the results we got on Instagram, more people did side with the Rubik's Cube. But imagine if you hadn't solved it and it was coming up to 2 years, you'd be panicking a bit, wouldn't you?
Against the wall if I'd have been in that long. Fuck this.
Would you rather eat a 5-year-old Big Mac? So it's just been sat there in its box for 5 years. Don't know how it looks, what it looks like. Or would
Apparently
you
they look
rather?
the same.
Yeah,
People
well,
have
I've
done
seen
experiments,
this,
so
I've
they
seen
say.
this.
Doubt it.
Or would you rather use a toilet in McDonald's that hasn't been cleaned for 5 years?
Both sick because
They are
they're going to
both
be
sick,
grim.
yeah,
There's
yeah.
probably going to be less health issues if
Yep.
you use the toilet.
Yep.
5 year gone off meat and shit, and yeah, it's not going to be good for you.
Disgusting to think
And
about.
you could take a big deep breath, couldn't you?
Yeah. What, just shove
If
it
you just
in?
went in, if you were
Just
going
in
for
one go.
if you're going for a week, you'd be
Yeah,
all right. But if
yeah.
you were going for other reasons, then it's a different ball game.
It is, yeah. 5 years, it's going to be a
It's
mess.
going to stink.
Yep.
Yeah, I'd be shirt over.
This was,
Although you might catch something there as well.
well, you might. I think either way, you're coming out sick, aren't you? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd go for the toilet. I don't
Would
want to
you?
do
Yeah,
that. I don't want food poisoning. It's not nice.
it was it was a draw basically. So yeah. So that's. I've got one more. Might as well throw it in there. Might as well.
Why not?
Would you rather eat the same flavour of pizza for 5 years, or chicken nuggets with your choice of different sauces for 5 years?
What was your only meal?
That's your only meal, pizza or nuggets. But your pizza is the same flavour, so if you only eat...
Well, you're only getting your protein, aren't you, if you're eating chicken? If you have a pizza...
Yeah, but you got to think what's in the batter and sauces.
Yeah, but I mean, what are your sources of, your nutrition?
Yep.
Your chicken nuggets are going to be your protein, and that's pretty much it.
Yep.
Whereas you could have a healthier pizza.
You could have a vegetarian pizza.
It's going to be so many more calories for you, though.
Yeah, it is.
So
But
you're probably going to put more weight on. It's probably worse for you
it is probably, although
you're getting more
deep fried
you're getting more nutrients.
chicken
Go
nuggets,
pizza.
I don't know.
Pizza.
Yeah, pizza.
It'd get boring.
It would, but it's probably better for you, isn't
Yeah.
it? Yeah.
I love a good pizza.
I do like nuggets though. A chicken nugget pizza.
The Nug Nug Challenge. Yeah, chicken nugget pizza. The Nug Nug Challenge I mentioned previously.
Nug Nug Challenge, what does that consist of?
20.
Oh, 20. Easy,
nuggets.
mate.
Easy. Nug Nug Challenge.
Piece of cake. Cool. There you go. So, would you rather? Hopefully, we can get some more on Insta and follow us on there and join in. And we'd like to know your reasons why as well. So,
Yeah.
please join in.
Oh, would you rather be? Oh, would you rather be? Oh, would you rather be?
Little sip of water.
Should have the Aquavita.
Cheers.
Haribo.
Podcast Haribo, podcast
Aquavita.
water. You may notice if you've not tuned, if you've been tuning in for a while, that when we started the podcast, we needed alcohol to calm our nerves. But I think we've got past that stage now.
I think it was to calm the nerves. I think it was to talk about stuff.
True. Yeah.
Now we just spout off anything.
Spout bollock. So yeah, bedtime story, Mayday by Philip Pylon.
Philip Pylon.
You still awake? Would you like me to read you a bedtime story?
A man sipped on a refreshing whiskey and coke as the chair in front of him reclined, shaking his tray and knocking his knees. He let out a sigh. 10 hours he'd been on this flight. Only 2 more hours to go, he thought, and he would be free of the confines of the paraffin budgie.
Paraffin budgie?
It's another name for a
plane.
plane, yeah. I've never heard that before.
Paraffin budgie.
Yeah. The man rubbed his eyes and looked out of the small plane window. Racing across the sky at an altitude of 35,000 feet, he could see the sun setting on the horizon. Time for a piss, the man thought to himself, and crept over the 2 sleeping passengers who sat snoozing next to
It's a
him.
really dodgy image in my head then of him just trying to
Have you ever, it's like if you're on a flight and it's people sleeping, you've got to
I'd wake
climb
them up.
over them. Wake them up. Really.
Excuse me. Could I get out, please? Thank you. Sounded
Good
like a twat then, didn't it?
reenactment. Good reenactment, yeah. Sorry. So, time for a piss, the man thought to himself, and crept over the 2 sleeping passengers who had sat snoozing next to him. In fact, the majority of the plane was asleep, and quiet, bar the odd air stewardess who would scurry quietly up the aisle from time to time to deliver peanuts, pillows, perfumes, and packets of potato-based paraphernalia.
Some nice alliteration there.
Thank you. The man walked up the aisle, yawning as he made his way gingerly towards the rear of the plane, sliding into the confines of the tight water closet and locking the door behind him. The man turned to see himself in the mirror and admire his own tired face. "Armstrong, you handsome devil," the man muttered to himself.
Fan favourite.
Stroking his hand through his dark hair, he bared a
Father
striking...
Gerald.
He bared a striking resemblance to the top movie star Hugh Grant. Armstrong unsheathed himself and began to project a steady flow of water-based waste into a small metal receptacle which sat adjacent to him. He always prided himself on both his stream and aim. Ugh. A sense of relief washed over him as he thought this would probably see him right until the plane landed at Jacksonville International Airport in Florida. Armstrong, despite being as tired as a worn-out windmill, smiled to himself. He couldn't wait to start his vacation. Sorry, I've gone wrong there. I'll start again. Armstrong, being despite going wrong. Armstrong,
Take your time.
I will do. Armstrong, despite being as tired as a worn-out windmill, smiled to himself. He couldn't wait to start his dream vacation at Disney World. Sure, it may seem strange for a man in his late 40s to go to Disney World on his own, but Armstrong was a lone wolf and did what he wanted, when he wanted. Plus, he really, really wanted a picture with Goofy.
Goofy.
A rap at the lavatory door snapped Armstrong out of his daydream of cavorting with Goofy and dancing with Donald Duck.
Hell yeah.
"One moment," Armstrong said, washing his hands and tidying his hair once more before winking in the mirror. The door slid open to reveal an air stewardess. Armstrong clocked the name tag, Chelsea. "Hi, Chelsea. By the way, I've washed my hands and left the lav in a more than satisfactory state. Maybe you can sort me out with another one of those whiskies on the rocks out, babe." Hang on, I got that wrong, sorry. "Hi, Chelsea. By the way, I've washed my hands and left the lav in a more than satisfactory state. Maybe you can sort me another one of those whiskies on the rocks out, babe. On the house, yeah?"
Babe.
The bemused stewardess replied.
I don't think so, sir. Sorry to bother you. Can you return to your seat, please? We're about to hit some turbulence.
"Ha!" Armstrong chortled. "I'm sure I can manage a few bumps in the road, Chelsea. After all, I've got my wings, if you catch my drift."
I love Armstrong.
Armstrong nodded back towards the toilet. The air stewardess sighed.
No, sir, I don't catch your drift. Now, if you can please return to your seat immediately.
Armstrong seemed to ignore the warning and continued. "Come on, let's just say I've had more than my fair share of turbulence when I joined the club. Sheila, she was called. Technically, it should be called the 7 Mile High Club, unless people are getting fruity during takeoff,"
Sir, please return to your fucking seat.
snapped Chelsea as she stared angrily
like a
at
Chelsea.
the smarmy man. Armstrong shuffled past the angry air stewardess. "So, no chance of that whiskey then?" he grinned. Chelsea just shook her head. Armstrong creeped over the still sleeping passengers and climbed back into the window seat.
Creeping all over the shop is
It is.
Armstrong.
He looked out the window and noticed somewhat dark clouds seemed to have gathered quite rapidly since his excretion. A man, a large Texan man, sleeping next to Armstrong, had a curly whirly sticking out of the top of his shirt pocket. Whether or not it was the whiskey or the raunchy chat he just had with the stewardess, Armstrong was feeling decidedly mischievous and pilfered the chocolate treat, chuckling to himself, thinking about the confusion the man would have on awakening and realising his lattice choc snack was missing. The man stirred, so Armstrong folded the bar into his mouth quickly, almost choking.
Here you go, sir.
A whisper penetrated Armstrong's right
Here you go,
ear.
sir.
Chelsea, the stewardess, handed him a whiskey and coke.
Just don't tell anyone.
She winked. Armstrong nodded,
That
grinned.
Robinson wink.
Armstrong nodded, grinned, and gave a thumbs up as his mouth was cemented shut with the stolen chocolate he'd shoved into his face hole moments earlier. "Thanks, Chelsea," Armstrong managed to say eventually, but it was pointless, as she was already down towards the front of the plane, sitting down and putting on her seatbelt. Armstrong lifted the plastic... Oh, for goodness sake, sorry about this scrolling issue. Armstrong lifted the plastic glass to his mouth and was just about to take a sip when, bang! The plane seemed to drop violently. Whiskey and coke flew all over Armstrong and the man next to him. The plane was now well awake. "Sorry, old chum," Armstrong said whilst grabbing a napkin and patting the man's chest.
What the hell are you doing, son?
The man cried as the plane continued to bounce up and down. "Total accident, sir. Just bad timing with the current weather. Looks a bit choppy out there."
Well, better get used to the weather. It is storm season.
said the man whilst patting his shirt pocket.
Say, son, I don't suppose you've seen a Curly Whirly candy bar around here?
Can't say I have. Can't say I have, Armstrong lied.
These two people meeting on the fly. It's great.
Can't say I have, Armstrong lied whilst wiping his mouth.
God damn it!
The man exclaimed. The craft was still bouncing violently, and the woman next to the Texan in the aisle seat started hyperventilating and wailing uncontrollably. Armstrong put his head in his hands. He was well travelled, so wasn't worried one bit about the turbulence. He just couldn't deal with someone crying for the next 2 hours.
Now then, darling, don't you worry.
The Texan man held the sobbing woman's hand.
Our Lord and our Savior will guide us safely to our destination.
Jesus Christ, Armstrong muttered.
That's right, Jesus Christ indeed.
The man acknowledged Armstrong's blasphemy. All of a sudden there seemed to be calm. Armstrong looked out the plane window and could now see clear sky.
Praise the Lord.
Armstrong's neighbour shouted whilst flailing his hands in the air. Armstrong shook his head and thought, get me to Disney World. A bonging sound. Bong, bong. The seatbelt light went off and the passengers breathed a collective sigh of relief. Chelsea got up from the front of the plane, arranging her skirt that had creased during the turbulence, and walked past Armstrong. Better have another one of these, he said while shaking his empty glass at the stewardess. And get one for yourself.
You're too kind.
Chelsea
She's warming
responded.
to him. She's warming to him.
She's warming to him. Just then, the cockpit door opened and out came the pilot. He grabbed what looked like a phone off the side of the cockpit door and spoke through it. It was in fact a PA system, so he could publicly announce announcements to the public on the plane.
That is the definition.
Shh! Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. We're at a bit of a rough patch. Complimentary peanuts will be dished out during our descent, and it should be a fairly steady journey from here on out. Enjoy the rest of your flight and your time in Florida. Shh!
I half expected the pilot to
I
be
don't
like,
know what that voice was.
"Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This
He
is your
should have been
pilot
American,
speaking."
shouldn't he, if he's flying to... Well,
you
I don't
don't
know. I don't know. Anyway,
Hold on a goddamn minute.
the Texan man sat next to Armstrong shouted out.
The pilot, he had a candy bar in his pocket. A Curly Whirly candy bar.
The large man struggled up out of his seat, crushing the woman he'd been consoling moments earlier as he squeezed out into the aisle and began bounding down towards the cockpit, smashing past Chelsea, resulting in her falling to the floor and spilling Armstrong's whiskey once more before she could deliver it. Before the pilot knew what was happening, he was barged back into the cockpit under the weight of the rampaging chocoholic, and the door slammed shut behind them. What the heck? Armstrong yelled as he approached Chelsea and helped the flattened stewardess to her feet.
He can't be in there.
Chelsea cried, pointing at the cockpit. Do you want me to help, Chelsea? Armstrong asked while stroking his hand through his hair.
No, you sit down, please, sir. Everyone sit down and remain calm. We'll be landing soon. I think that gentleman just got a bit overexcited and wanted to see the cockpit.
Chelsea, trying to remain professional, once again straightened her dress and started marching towards the cockpit. The door burst back open and the Texan man bounded back up the aisle. Chocolate covered his face, taking out Chelsea once more.
That's
and
a
also
brilliant scene.
trampling Armstrong like some sort of deranged rugby player. The troubled Texan ran to the back of the plane and locked himself in the toilet. Armstrong dusted himself off and once again adjusted his hair.
Oh my God!
Chelsea cried as she stood in the doorway to the cockpit. Armstrong limped towards the stewardess, who seemed to be frozen in terror. He squeezed past her and was greeted with a horrific sight. The pilots laid slumped dead in their chairs, beaten to a bloody pulp. A torn Curly Whirly wrapper laid limply on the floor.
He's killed them! Oh my God, he's killed them!
Chelsea stumbled back. Armstrong turned to her. My God, Chelsea! I'm going to need another whiskey before I land this plane and get to bloody Disney World. But not before I've done one thing. Chelsea nodded, still shocked, and let Armstrong past her. He grabbed the telephone, which we had already established was a PA system, and spoke clearly into it. Flight 33 from Heathrow to Jacksonville International. My name is Superintendent Armstrong.
Jacksonville? Is that anywhere near
In Florida.
Disneyland?
in Florida. Disney World is in Florida.
I thought it was
Disneyland's
near Texas,
Paris.
Jacksonville. Sounds like
no,
Texas.
no, Jacksonville, Florida. Yeah. No, it's alright. I thought you were Hugh Grant. One of the passengers heckled. Armstrong continued. Thanks. I get that a lot. There's been an altercation, and I'm afraid both the pilots are dead. Panic seemed to set across the
What are you
cabin.
doing, Armstrong?
Armstrong raised his hand. But fear not. I've clocked up close to 350 hours on Microsoft Flight Simulator, and I will land this plane safely. This may not be my jurisdiction, but let me tell you, my job is to serve and protect, and that I will.
My hero.
Chelsea swooned. Please, fasten your seatbelts. Chelsea, grab me that whiskey. I've got one thing to do before I land this girl. Armstrong raced up the aisle towards the toilet and ripped the door open. The Texan man squashed into the cubicle weeped.
May the Lord forgive me. I just wanted my candy.
Eat this, Armstrong said, and punched the pilot murderer square in the face, knocking him clean out. He turned and raced towards the cockpit, grabbing his whiskey from Chelsea's hand, giving her a quick wink. He entered the cockpit, shutting the door behind him, and set his whiskey down, moving one pilot from a chair and sitting him on top of the other pilot so Armstrong had the space he needed to save the day. Sorry, chaps, Armstrong said, as he took the cap off one of the pilots and placed it on his head.
Priorities.
Priorities. Right, time to go to Disney World. This can't be that difficult. Armstrong perused the controls and smiled.
My eyes water when I do
Are you okay? You okay?
accents.
Armstrong perused the controls and smiled. Everything seemed so very familiar. Sure, his wife had divorced him due to his obsession with Flight Simulator, which meant he neglected her and the kids, but who was laughing now? Armstrong grabbed the control stick with one hand and his whiskey with the other. This wasn't how he'd imagined his vacation starting, but what the heck, he was drunk and confident, a recipe for success he often thought.
Yeah, of course.
Armstrong went to take a sip of his whiskey one more time, when bang, once more, when bang, the plane shook with turbulence again. Armstrong noticed his dials and radar started to flicker. He cursed himself for never setting random malfunctions to occur on Flight Simulator. I'm going to have to land this bitch blind. Armstrong gulped down the last of his
If
whiskey.
anyone knows Steve Coogan, please let him. We need to get Steve Coogan to film.
Yeah. Armstrong gulped down the last of his whiskey and took hold of the control. Start a bit again, mate. I'm going to have to land this bitch blind. Armstrong gulped down the last of his whiskey and took hold of the control stick, now with both hands. Armstrong's view of the Florida coast began to deteriorate as thick black clouds gathered once more. Hail started to pelt the cockpit window and lightning whipped and cracked around the aircraft.
Stormy.
Armstrong could hear the screams from the passengers, and the plane flexed violently up and down and side to side in the turbulent thunderstorm conditions. Armstrong flicked the switch for the undercarriage. He didn't have a clue where he was going to land this thing, but he thought he had a better chance with the wheels down. The lightning and thunder increased to a crescendo, and then total darkness and loss of power. He could hear the engines dying, and the screams from the passengers intensified.
Oh, Jesus Christ, we're going to die!
Armstrong couldn't do anything apart from grit his teeth and press himself into this chair whilst pulling back on the controls in hope of some lift. The impact knocked Armstrong out cold. Fire flickered and whipped around the tangled wreckage. Armstrong came to and crawled out of the mangled mess. He could see the stars blinking in the clear night sky. Even in this moment, he thought at least the storm was over and the plane had not landed. Even in this moment, he thought at least the storm was over and the plane had not at least landed in water, but in fact on land. Armstrong clutched the grass and mud between his fingers and crawled away from the heat. Still dizzy and in pain from the terrifying experience, he turned his aching body to view the resulting destruction. The main part of the fuselage was engulfed in flames. The cockpit had separated, and Armstrong had obviously survived due to this freak happening. Boom! What was left of the plane exploded. Armstrong cried, "No!" There was no way Chelsea and the rest of the passengers had
That's
survived.
as bad as Darth Vader screaming in bloody Revenge of the Sith.
He was close to passing out once more due to the horror when a hand reached out and grabbed Armstrong's. "Help! Please, help!" Armstrong looked towards the person who had come to his rescue. "There's nothing to fear, son." Armstrong turned around to see one of the plane's engines sticking out the side of a church.
What the hell?
"I'm Father Gerald! You've crashed into my church! You've crashed into Cliffley!" Armstrong managed to get to his feet. "Cliffley? Cliffley, Florida? How far are we..." Went Australian for some reason. "Cliffley? Cliffley, Florida? How far are we from Disney World, Father?" he asked. Father Gerald escorted Armstrong towards the burning church. "Oh, my son, you're a long way from Disney World now." The end.
You still awake? Would you like me to read you a bedtime story?
What the smeg? Where the hell is that plane mean going?
Hey, if you think about it, what's near Florida?
What?
The Bermuda Triangle.
Oh, the Bermuda Triangle.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's what's responsible for it. It's funny you say that because I read something. I think they've apparently figured out what causes the Bermuda Triangle
okay.
through satellite images. It's something to do with the clouds and that.
Right,
There's,
okay.
like
Yeah.
big storms apparently that happen there. So it's that.
There you
Like
go.
really strong winds that can down planes and stuff. So that's what they think. So that's what's happened with
That's what. Well, it's gone.
Armstrong's
It's gone
flight.
through some sort of
the Bermuda
different
Triangle
portal or something into Cliffley. Yeah, yeah. And therefore, is it a prequel to the story that we had, A Kick in the Balls, where Armstrong was saving the
So
day?
now he's into it. So
No,
yeah, maybe
yeah,
he's just.
yeah.
Oh, the church is gonna need a lot of repairing.
It
Isn't
is,
That's
it
twice.
is.
There's a plane blown into it, and then in the Love Below there was a big explosion, wasn't there? In the
There
church?
was in the church. Yeah, it sees
church
some.
keys getting
It sees some
buggered.
action, doesn't it? Yeah. So there you go. Mayday. So featuring
Brilliant.
Superintendent Armstrong. Hope you enjoyed that.
Brilliant. I feel sorry for Chelsea there.
Chelsea, yeah, the rest of the plane didn't survive, I'm afraid, and you know
That's what happens, people. Don't steal other people's curly whirlies on flights.
Exactly, it escalates.
anywhere.
It escalates. But would they have all ended up in Cliffley if that hadn't have happened? Who knows?
If he hadn't nicked his curly whirly,
yeah, I mean,
it'd have been,
it escalated,
it'd
didn't
have
it?
been
I don't know.
in Disney World, wouldn't it?
Exactly, he'd have been having a good time in Disney World.
Going around Star
Yeah.
Wars. Bit. Is that in Disney World?
It is, yeah, I think, yeah. There you go, mate. Yeah, so that's the end of the bedtime story and
Brilliant.
the end of the podcast, episode 14.
Episode 14.
Yeah,
A nice
nice.
way to end.
Anything
with
to
our
add?
original shots? No, not really.
No.
Just thank you for watching and listening.
Yeah,
and
cheers.
check out the links on our Instagram and Twitter
Yeah,
in
cool.
regards to the Cancer Research gaming stream. We'll post more info. We'll post the link
Yeah, a bit nearer
on how
at
to
time.
watch that. It's probably going to be on Twitch.
Yep.
I'll put my PS4 tag on there as well if you want to give us a follow on that, whatever.
Cool.
And then you can watch it on there. You can
Nice.
join what I'm playing, I suppose. But yeah, Twitch is probably how we're going to do it. And yeah, that's about it.
Cool.
Have a lovely
Yeah, enjoy.
Valentine's Day.
Yeah,
and
stay safe.
Hold your loved ones close and
Search for him on Tinder. Yeah. Cool. Take care.
bye.
Bye bye.
The Empty Headed Podcast. The Empty Headed Podcast.